In the long and often painful story of a family, the last will and testament is supposed to be the final chapter, a way to distribute a lifetime of assets and memories. But for some, it becomes something else entirely. It becomes the final word in an argument that has raged for years. It becomes the ultimate act of rejection, a final, cold goodbye carved not in a letter but in a legally binding document. This is the story of two parents pushed to the very edge of their endurance, grappling with a decision that feels both necessary and monstrous, whether to permanently erase their estranged daughter from their legacy. Their story peels back the curtain on the silent, agonizing epidemic of family estrangement and asks a question that has no easy answer. When a relationship is already dead, is cutting a child out of the will an act of justice or an act of revenge? The story begins with a letter, a cry for help from a couple who call themselves the rejected parents. For nearly 15 years, their eldest daughter has completely cut herself out of their lives. The silence has been broken only by 3 painful, failed attempts at reconciliation. They describe a narrative that spun out of their control, a story their daughter told to the rest of the family that painted them as unloving and unsupportive. She claimed her childhood was not one of being nurtured, but one of servitude, where she was forced to look after her younger brothers, her own needs cast aside. This story, they say, grew legs, infecting their relationships with their own siblings and in-laws, until the parents found themselves on an isolated island, ostracized by their entire family network. The pain is not abstract, it's visceral and public. They recount a recent, soul-crushing experience on a flight. By a cruel twist of fate, their son-in-law and the grandson they have never known were on the same plane. As passengers deplaned, they watched as their son-in-law deliberately maneuvered to hide the child from their view, ensuring they wouldn't even catch a glimpse of the boy who would not recognize them anyway. It was a small, public act of cruelty that confirmed their status as outcasts. After 15 years of this slow emotional bleeding, they have arrived at a final, grim checkpoint, making a will, and their question is heavy with the weight of those years. I just can't stand the thought of her ever having anything of mine, ours, the mother writes, am I being over the top? But in every story of family estrangement, there is another side, a ghost at the feast whose voice is often the loudest in its absence, the daughter. As one of the top comments on this story bluntly states, people don't cut their mothers out of their lives for no reason. That reason is usually abuse and denial of that abuse. While we don't have the daughter's testimony, the parent's own letter contains the seeds of her potential narrative. She claimed she wasn't ever loved or supported and was always having to look after her brothers. This speaks to a phenomenon known as parentification, where a child is forced into a caregiver role, stripped of their own childhood to serve the needs of the parents or other siblings. For a child in this position, their emotional landscape is one of neglect. Their own feelings, dreams, and needs are treated as secondary. What the parents may remember as a normal, bustling family life, the daughter may remember as a lonely, exhausting job she never signed up for. Her decision to cut them off, which seems so extreme to the parents, may have been, for her, the only way to finally escape a role that was suffocating her. Her story, which the parents see as a malicious fiction, might be, for her, the absolute, unvarnished truth of her experience. This doesn't necessarily make her right and the parents wrong. It highlights the tragic reality that two people can experience the exact same events and walk away with two completely different and mutually exclusive truths. The most heartbreaking collateral damage in this family war is the grandchildren. The parents aren't just losing a daughter. They are being denied a fundamental part of life's journey, the joy of being grandparents. That fleeting, painful moment on the airplane wasn't just about them. It was about a little boy who is being denied a connection to his own history, to the people who form the roots of his family tree. As one commenter, a mother estranged from her own daughter, put it, "I'm more devastated that I will never know my grandchildren. This is the ripple effect of estrangement." It doesn't just sever one relationship, it poisons the well for future generations, creating a legacy of absence and unanswered questions. The grandparents are left to mourn not only the daughter they once knew, but also the grandchildren they will never get to know. This brings us back to the cold, hard question of the will. Can they, and should they, cut her out? Legally, in most places, the answer is a simple yes. You are generally free to leave your assets to whomever you choose. But the emotional question is far more complex. The parents' desire to disinherit their daughter comes from a place of deep, searing pain. It's a primal scream of "you cannot hurt me, abandon me, and then profit from my death," as the advice columnist points out. A will is often an extension of the relationships we have in life, and it makes a certain kind of logical sense that a fractured relationship would be reflected in a fractured inheritance. But he also offers a crucial warning: using a will to express the inexpressible or to have the final say is a dangerous game. It will not bring closure. It will not heal the wound. It may offer a fleeting sense of justice, but it can also be seen as the final, petty act of a bitter parent, solidifying the daughter's narrative that they were, in fact, unloving all along. The will becomes the final weapon in a war that no one can truly win. It's a final, silent word in a 15-year argument delivered from beyond the grave with no chance for clarification or reconciliation. The comment section on this story becomes a raw, emotional battlefield, reflecting the public's own deep divisions on this issue. You see a chorus of voices shouting, "It's your money." If they want you out of their life, then they don't get your assets when you die. This is the argument for pure, transactional justice. Others offer strategic, often legally dubious advice, like leave her $1 so she can't contest it. Then there's the spend it all rebellion, a growing sentiment among rejected parents who decide, if my family doesn't want me, I'll take that inheritance and spend it on myself. I'll get a reverse mortgage. I'll travel the world. I'll leave nothing but debt. It's a final, defiant act of self-love and perhaps a final act of revenge. And woven throughout are the painful stories of siblings who did all the caregiving only to watch their estranged siblings swoop in to claim an equal share, a deep injustice that fuels the desire to use a will as a tool for moral accounting. In the end, the parents are left standing at a crossroads. Down one path lies the will as a final statement. Disinheriting their daughter would be a clear, unambiguous reflection of the reality of their relationship. It would honor their pain and ensure that the person who caused them so much suffering does not benefit from their life's work. It is a path of consequence, of drawing a hard line and saying, "This is what you have chosen." Down the other path is the one suggested by the columnist, focusing on their own healing. This path involves accepting the agonizing ambiguity of the situation, finding support from others who have experienced similar loss, and working to let go of the consuming anger. This path suggests that true peace isn't found in having the last word, but in no longer needing to speak at all. This isn't a story with clear heroes or villains. It's a tragedy with multiple victims, each trapped in their own version of the truth. It forces us to ask a profound and deeply uncomfortable question. When a family is shattered beyond repair, what does closure really look like? Is it found in a legal document that settles a score, or is it found in the quiet, painful, personal work of learning to live with a wound that will never fully heal?